Hello, beautiful people. I am Candy, your systems specialist, and today I've got a powerful training for you. How to hire once, hire right, how to hire the right operations team to set your business up for success so that you can scale, hand things off to an amazing team who can support you so that you're not spending all day doing 10,000 tasks that are really not the best use of your time. So I've got a couple of slides here, so just let me share my screen quickly with you. And let's dive on in. Amazing. I'll just move that up there. Okay. All right. So you know you need help. The work that you've currently got is not sustainable. You're doing 10,000 things. It's all weighing on your shoulders, and you're really doing things that shouldn't be on your plate. And every time that you hire or you get support, basically a few weeks in, it all falls apart, or you feel really optimistic and really excited at the idea of having support, someone on your team, and it just never quite works out for you. And you may be even thinking, maybe I'm just not someone who can have a team. Maybe it just always ends up falling to me. So I'm here to help you bust that, because this is a really big part of learning how to receive, learning how to scale your business, and for that to be an easy, flowing experience where you get to make more money with less effort because you've got a team, rockstar team behind you, supporting you every step of the way. So this might sound familiar. You probably have posted in a Facebook group and said something like, looking for a VA to help me with general business admin and support. And you get flooded with loads of comments, loads of recommendations, and you probably follow your gut feel, especially if you're an intuitive. You're probably feeling out who resonates. You pick someone who seems fairly organized. You've maybe stalked their profile. It looks good. So you hire them, and your onboarding or your handover process is jumping on a Zoom call. You basically show them what you're doing and how you've been doing it, and then expect them to just be able to run with it. Then a couple of weeks in, cracks start to show. They start forgetting what you asked them to do, or they maybe did it right the first or second time, and then it kind of starts falling over. But the real problem was that neither of you had a really clear picture on what the role was from the get-go when you first reached out to them and, explored them working for you. So 2 weeks in, the cracks start to show. They don't remember what to do unless you've told them, or unless you specifically ask them, hey, can you do this today? They do it right the first time, but within a couple of weeks, they start making errors. What you told them on the Zoom call or what you explained to them, they've kind of received it or interpreted it in a different way than how you meant. And then perhaps as an example, you go to run your launch and they start doing, the launch activities, but then the things that you really need them to be on top of daily start falling over or stop happening. And then it's kind of like, I needed you to be doing both of those things. So you're left feeling like they seemed more competent at the beginning, and now you're actually realizing that this probably isn't going to work, and how do you back out of this? So, as I said, the real problem is that there was no clear job description, or it wasn't clear enough at the front end in the hiring process about exactly what skills you were looking for, what level of competence, what level of familiarity with different platforms. There weren't any standard operating procedures or training videos or a documented process for them to refer back to after a couple of weeks when they perhaps maybe forgot the details. There's no KPIs. There's no, way of measuring, are they on track? Are these things going to plan? Is this actually working? And no way of prioritization as well. So, you might have offboarded or asked them to do a certain load of tasks, and then the launch comes, and then now that's a different priority. So there's no real clear way, because they don't have the same level of context as you do in your business. They've just stepped in, they've just met you, they've just learnt you, they don't know about all of your work and all of your backstory and how everything works. So it's really hard for them to make those kind of levels of decisions. So when you get it right, you have clear role and job description, you have standard operating procedures and training videos ready to go, so that you've got both elements of different learning styles, whether it's, learning through doing, learning through reading, learning through watching videos, being able to replay or go back and learn something once or twice again. You know exactly who you're going to hire and why. And you can track genuine performance and then strategically outsource all of those things in a way that actually sticks, actually frees up your time instead of consuming more of it, or instead of requiring you to have 50,000 questions every single week. So what a clear job description includes. Now I'm going to stop sharing my screen and I'm going to quickly show you an example, because on this training today, I actually want to walk you through some of these things so that we can actually close these gaps for you in real time. So let me just share this screen. So I'm going to share an example one for you. So hopefully you can see that position description there. Let's get rid of that. So this is an example one. So I've got a virtual assistant here who we wanted to do Facebook outreach and community management. So we've got here the role details, employment type, hours that you need, salary, time zone, about the role. Then we've specified what are the core responsibilities, exactly what are you wanting them to do for you. And often this happens where people hire a VA and then they just kind of expect them to be able to do all aspects of any kind of online business, and it just really isn't the case. So we need to get really specific about what you actually need and want. What are the tools and platforms they need to be proficient in or need to be willing to learn? What are they going to be using? What are the essential things that you're looking for? So in terms of experience, communication styles, availability, what kind of hours, do you need them for 10 hours during a launch as kind of a one-off thing, or do you need 2 hours a day, morning and an afternoon? We need to get that specific. And then you can have your desirable skills, but they're not essential, but would be nice to have. And then we want to have your performance expectations and then how you want them to apply. So if you don't have this level of specificity at the front end, there's a really good chance that you're hiring the wrong person and then figuring out once it's too late, once you've already invested a lot of time and energy into training them, that actually they weren't suitable for the role. So just coming back to my screen here. So, whoops. Okay, so the first thing that we need to do is we need to drill down and define your role. So most people, as I say, go looking for the title. I need a VA or I need a OBM, and they don't really understand what the difference is between those roles. And in the industry, I would say that we've got some VAs who are doing OBM style tasks and charging VA for it and vice versa. So it can be a bit confusing out there. So we're looking for the title rather than looking for the specific skills and experience that we need. So no two businesses hiring the same title need, they can need completely different skill sets from that role. So someone who's in the DMs doing lead generation and community management, it's a particular personality, a particular skill set, versus someone who you want to do podcast repurposing. That's a very different skill. So when we go looking for a VA, we haven't necessarily ticked and pre-qualified whether someone is actually the right fit. So if you want to work this out and brain dump this with me, this is the first step. We're going to brain dump all the tasks that are currently on your plate that are cumbersome, that are costing you a lot of time and energy that you would love to be able to outsource. So I've got a great little workbook here for you. So comment workbook below if you'd like a copy. And I'll quickly share that. I'll just give you a quick little... I'll just quickly show you that so you know what I'm talking about. So comment workbook below in the comments and I'll send you the link to be able to work through this in real time together, and we will discuss that further. All right, so we're going to define the role. So let's brain dump here exactly what task. So just to kind of jog your mind and to get things moving. Consider, are there certain admin tasks? Is it scheduling? Is it emails? Is it filing and organizing things? Is it sales support? You need help with launch, with building or maintaining funnels. You want someone to be able to follow up in the DMs with people after an event or a challenge. It could include client communication, inquiries, check-ins, support, inbox management, emails, that kind of thing. Finance, invoicing, bookkeeping, payment tracking, those sorts of things. Could be marketing, social media, content repurposing, sending out newsletters and emails. There's operations and tech, so you might need support with systems, connecting and establishing and automating, building tools, and then how to maintain those. It could be service delivery and client onboarding, or it could be lead generation and community support. So those are just a couple of examples. But you can very clearly see from just talking about these different areas, you can see that there are very different skill sets in each of these. And often we expect a VA or an OBM to be able to do all of these things. And look, there may be some unicorns who can and are able to do all of those things, but those people are very few and far between. So we need to get really clear at the front end exactly what you want, so that you have a really great chance of hiring the right person right from the beginning. All right, so brain dump all of those. And I really just want to spend a few minutes to differentiate here between these three different roles. So we've got a VA, and I want you to think about a VA as more of like a receptionist type role, right? So that's a role where someone's doing a repetitive task. It's the same thing every time. It's kind of like a daily routine, repetitive thing that they're doing the same each time. And you can manage them. There's maybe a checklist of what you want them to be doing, and they're really just doing the thing. They're getting it done, and they're doing the day-to-day things. Now, the next level up is an online business manager, and this is more of like a team leader sort of role. So there's more strategy here. They're managing what gets done and how. There's more initiative, more leadership. They're more proactive and accountable. They don't need so much direction. They're just in executing and making sure things all are working in the back end, as an example for your launch support. And they're often like building or improving systems to make things run smoother. But we're not really talking high level. They're just, how do we make sure that the day-to-day runs smoothly? And does everybody know what they're doing? You might have multiple people on your team, so they would be managing and prioritizing and supporting that. And then you have the next level up there, which is a systems specialist. And this is sort of more of the higher level operation. So this is looking at how are we scaling your business? What infrastructure, what team, what processes, what systems do we need in place to be able to scale our revenue, to be able to serve more people. And this is more higher level. So this is kind of the design of how the business works, how these things operate, and so that they would, be able to offboard this to an online business manager or virtual assistant to maintain long term. But the system specialist really is the role of designing and making sure that everything is designed and fit for purpose for the next level of growth. So hopefully that just gives you a bit more clarity around the difference between those three key roles, and where you might have been hiring a VA and expecting OBM level support, or vice versa, or same with systems. If you don't have standard operating procedures, if you don't have the infrastructure and the platforms and the systems in place, then you need a system specialist first in order to bring that up to scratch through a strategic lens, and to then offboard and hire the other roles from there. So this is often one of the most expensive mistakes business owners make, is that they hire the VA before any of the rest of it is in place, and then wonder why it keeps falling over. Okay, so step 2, coming back to your workbook, is define the level of responsibility, not just the tasks. So going back to those 3 different roles there, scheduling a client call can mean put appointments in the calendar when I tell you to. So that would be more of a VA level task. It's like, please do this. Check, it's done. Then, or it could mean own the entire scheduling system, manage conflicts, communicate with clients directly, and bring me only what genuinely needs my sort of input. So there's a different level of responsibility and ownership there, and that would be more of an OBM role, where it's like, you are responsible for this whole system. I want you to look after this, and then just keep me posted and keep me in the loop, but this is your responsibility. So those are two completely different roles. A VA is more executing the task, and an OBM is more of owning the task, owning how it gets done, and has that level of initiative and leadership as part of it. So what are they responsible for? So in your workbook, you want to get clear on what those kind of 5 key responsibilities are, and then deciding which level of ownership you want. Is it a repetitive task that they're just going to be doing the same thing each day or each week? Or are you expecting and wanting them to plan, prioritize, and manage the whole process? That's an OBM. Or if you're wanting strategy, you're wanting someone to build the systems, you want to create them and scale the capacity for revenue and to be able to support and serve more clients with more ease and more efficiency, then you need a systems specialist. So these are the details that most business owners skip or miss, and then wonder why it keeps falling over, or they keep being disappointed by the people that they've hired. Okay. Step number 3, define success before day 1. So often people hire that VA role, or they hire for the title, and then they figure out what you want them to do in the moment, on the fly, and then it falls over and it gets a bit watery, and then it's really hard to course correct or hold any sort of level of accountability and kind of, tighten things up again. So things feeling easier is not a measurable outcome. So you really want at the front end, like after 30 days, what do you want this person to be able to do? After 60 days, what do you want them to do? And after 90 days, what do you want them to be able to do? Because there is going to be a learning process and a handover process, because this person is coming into a brand new business. They don't have all of the context, all of the history, all of the relationships with your clients that they have. And they, need a period of time to learn and train. So we want to do that in a way that is offboarding certain tasks at a time to make sure that that's being handed over. They're really clear on how that's done, what the standard is, how they are expected to go about that, and then making sure that they can do that consistently, and then handing that off and integrating more skills and more tasks. So what are they accountable for delivering, and how will you know that it's working? So again, if you haven't yet, just comment workbook below and I'll send you a copy of this so you can kind of hash this out for yourself. So we know right from the beginning, before we've even posted in a Facebook group asking for recommendations, we know exactly what we want them to do, what skills, what availability, what success looks like, what level of ownership and accountability we're expecting. And then we're primed, ready to be able to hire the right person, the right fit right from the start, and then you can actually free up your time. So as I said, the 4 steps here are: the first one is brain dump all of the tasks that you currently have on your plate that are cumbersome, spending way too much of your time doing. 2, decide what level of ownership you want somebody to have, whether it's just do the tasks that you tell them each day, or whether you want them to take full ownership and kind of organize their own time, energy, priorities. And step 3 is define success, and then hire and offboard the right person. So those are kind of the 4 key steps that you really need to have in place in order for this to work. So if you're like, oh my goodness, this is just way too much work, I don't have time as it is, and you don't want to deal with this, I will. So I support businesses to step in, and I come in, I design those systems, I design the standard operating procedures, the job descriptions, the training resources, and collapse time on all of that process so that you can go out there, ask in your Facebook groups or wherever you want to ask. You've got everything you need in the back end in order for this to go well, without spending hours and hours of your own personal time trying to write standard operating procedures when that's not the best use of your time. So you can hand this over to me. If this is you and you're like, oh my God, yes, then you can book your business systems audit with me. There'll be a link for that below. It's a 45-minute call where we'll go through the key areas in your business, identify where those gaps are, what we need to close first. and what that might look like for me to step in and support you with that. So I hope this training has been super helpful. And you've got these beautiful resources in the back end to support you to do this correctly right from the start. So I can't wait for you to honestly hand it over, be able to grow your business, and to stop spending all of your time in the weeds with people who are asking you a million questions and then causing you so much more frustration than is required. So let me know how you go. If you do draft out your own job description, feel free to send it through to me. I'm happy to give you some feedback or some pointers on, where it might need tightening up before you launch out into hiring mode. And I can't wait to support you in your business. All right, I'll see you next week for the next training. Bye for now.